Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Module 1. Anita Stewart McCafferty from Educational Leadership at USM, here with you to walk you through an overview of Module 1. So let's dive right in. Module 1 is focused around experiences with organizations and also then thinking about how we view organizations and how we use metaphors to help us think about organizations, and how then the use of our language and the use of metaphors really then reinforces our thinking and behaviors within our organizations. So our questions for Module 1 are as follows. How are organizations structured? So we want to really dive in and think about that. We also want to think about, listen to ourselves and also our colleagues, and think about how do we talk and think about organizations. So how do metaphors influence our thinking about our schools and districts and how they behave? Our third guiding question is about our own experiences with organizations and how those experiences influence our thinking and behaviors. And then finally, the dynamics that influence how we feel about organizations. We'll focus on 2 module objectives: being able to explain what influences one's thoughts and feelings about organizations, and then being able to analyze organizational structures. So I invite you, as you're starting out in this module, to take a piece of paper and just jot down, make a list, take a few minutes and make a list of all of the different organizations that you have been a part of. From the time that you were, a child, going through your teen years, moving into your professional, but also in your personal life. So you could think about things. Were you involved in Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts? Were you part of athletic teams? Were you involved in some sort of a church or a community activity, as well as the different committees that you might have been a part of in your different work situations as you move forward? So make that list, and then I encourage you just to go through and use some sort of system where you either do a plus minus next to each of those, or a star, or a little frowny face next to them, thinking about which of those organizations that you've been a part of throughout your life bring a positive feeling tone for you. So when you think about those organizations, which have positive memories, which have not so positive memories, and then I encourage you to think about why that might be. So why it might have a positive feeling for you, or why it might have a negative feeling. And I think that's important for us to think about our own experiences with organizations as we kind of unpack organizations and their structures and how we think and talk about that. So I encourage you to, before you go any further in the module, to go ahead do that activity. Then we're going to encourage you to open up Module 1, and there are several activities that you're going to find throughout this module to help you really dive into our concepts. One of those is centered around your assignment for the week, which is called Body of an Organization. And in that assignment, there are a number of prompts. So there are prompts for head and eyes and mouth and hands and heart and stomach and feet. And each of those prompts related to a certain body part, if you will. So this is a metaphor. Ask for you to think about, for instance, in your stomach, what within your organization, your school or your district, gives you a stomach ache. So you're going to go through each of the prompts for each of those body parts and answer those questions for yourself. There are also 4 questions related to demographics about your organization, about your school or your district, that you'll also answer. And then I'm going to ask for you to choose at least 3 members of your district or your school that you could interview. And you're going to simply ask for them to respond to those body prompts as well about your school or district and also about the demographics. You might find that it's easier for you to go ahead and give them a copy of the prompts and have them jot down notes for you in written format. That might be easier. You might also choose to do a face-to-face interview where you're then taking notes about the responses for each of the prompts. And then you are going to compile the responses, so your own, and then the responses from at least 3 members of your organization, and kind of summarize. So what's the overall feel for each of those prompts as you move through? So that's one thing that one major assignment for this module that you'll probably want to get to work on right away. The other is beginning to read the book Decisive. So Decisive is our common read, and you're going to be asked to read chapters 1 through 3 in Decisive. If you're like me and you commute to work, you might consider purchasing the Audible version of Decisive. But if you like to have the book in hand, there are a number of ways that you can access that. You certainly can go through Amazon or borrow from a colleague that already owns Decisive. But either way, chapters 1 through 3. And in our folder for reading and viewing, you'll see 2 short videos related to Decisive. You'll also see some articles related to organizational culture and the way that we think and talk about organizations. You'll also be actively participate in the discussion board, and this is one of the ways that we can really learn from our colleagues who are in the class as well. And this week's discussion board activity, in addition to making sure that you participate in the introduction discussion board, but this week's discussion board will really focus on the concepts of thinking and, not or, which is a major concept in the readings that you will do in Decisive. Enjoy Module 1.